When your cortisol is constantly spiked, you're in a constant state of feeling stressed. And your organs are stressed as well. Many a time, young people who are in their 20s, 30s, otherwise they look fit, they're not morbidly obese or anything, with extremely high blood pressures. Most of you who grew up in a dysfunctional family don't know what it did to your brain. So in this video, I'm going to tell you, and inshallah also offer some solutions to how to navigate those changes. If you're new here, my name is Hannah. I am a trauma coach and nervous system coach for Muslim women. And this is what I do. I help Muslim women heal complex trauma. So many Muslims have grown up in dysfunctional homes where one of the most common things they were exposed to were loud, angry fights, screaming, arguing all the time, sometimes daily or multiple times a day. And when you grow up in that kind of dysfunction, at one point you start to normalize it. Oh, this is just mom and dad, right? Or these are just my siblings, or this is how it goes. And as much as we try to normalize something, just because it's common does not mean it's normal. Just because it's happening all the time does not mean it doesn't affect your brain. So what has happened, and why do children and teenagers and young adults who grew up in these circumstances end up the anxious, hyper-vigilant, constantly on edge types of adults? Here's why. If you grew up in a home where you always heard constant fighting, shouting, and arguing, your nervous system learned that you had to deal and stay in a consistent state of fight or flight. Your nervous system learned that you had to constantly be scanning for danger because you never knew the next time an argument was going to break out. You didn't know if you were going to be on the phone and someone was going to start screaming and you'd have to mute because you were embarrassed. You didn't know if people were going to start throwing things and you'd have to get up and go divide your mom and dad from physically fighting. You never knew what was going to happen next. So your brain never got a chance to set you into the safe, calm, rest, and digest state because that would be counterintuitive. Why would you stay in that state when it was going to be disrupted immediately? The brain has a primary goal, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it, to keep you alive. And so your brain is going to opt for the thing that keeps you in survival, makes it easier to keep you in survival because you're more easily able to assess, oh my gosh, something's happening, I need to do something about it, when you're in fight or flight versus when you're in rest and digest. But then as your brain is constantly being exposed to it, what's happening? Well, there's a constant flood in your blood of cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and what we call the monoamines or epinephrine, the different kind of forms of that molecule. And so your body is responding to this. Hormones are chemical messengers that tell the body what to do, and neurotransmitters are kind of chemicals from our brain that tell the brain what to do. And so when your cortisol is constantly spiked, you're in a constant state of feeling stressed. And your organs are stressed as well. And so your body is constantly getting these signals, and a low level of inflammation is developing in your body. And we can actually measure this inflammation because we have blood tests that measure inflammation. But what happens as a consequence of this long-term inflammation is that your risk for disease goes up. I have seen many a time young people who are in their 20s, 30s, otherwise they look fit, they're not morbidly obese or anything, with extremely high blood pressures. And one of the first questions I asked them, a question that's often missed by Western medical providers, but I don't miss it because of the work I do as a trauma and nervous system coach, is what's the level of stress you're exposed to at home? Or did you grow up in a home with a lot of stress? Now, obviously, I'm not going to say, did you grow up with trauma? Because many people are going to be very kind of uncomfortable with that question. But it leaves its mark on the body, for sure. This low level of inflammation also leads to inflammation in the brain. Your sleep gets affected. Your risk for diseases like dementia and cancer and diabetes because of the high cortisol, heart attack and stroke because of the inflammatory cascade all go up. And this might not be in the next 10 years, might not be in the next 20 years, might not be in the next 30 years, but significantly change. Now, how do you respond to this psychologically? You end up being a person who doesn't trust people easily because you never knew, you grew up in a home never knowing when the other shoe was going to drop. Trusting was impossible. How do you trust when you were always met with the disappointment? You were going to trust the peace, it's quiet now, but inevitably that was going to be taken away. You might be someone who's overly sensitive to conflict, meaning the slightest tone change you're able to catch. Because as a child, you had to learn how to catch those things early, right? Maybe if you caught them early, you thought maybe I could stop the fight before it happened, stop the arguing. Or on the other side, you're someone who becomes completely stoic and disconnected. This I see much more often in men. This is why I'm always weary of the conversations on Stoicism, because so often men will speak about Stoicism as if it's a response, a type of masculinity, but many men learned Stoicism as a way to cut off the actual emotional nervous system response that was happening in their body because of what they're exposed to. Just because you learn to suppress a response doesn't mean that it still doesn't affect your brain and body. It does, hence why I give the example of the low level of inflammation that consistently will stay there until you heal trauma. Right? So you might end up someone who you hear something that doesn't rattle you. You think you're used to it, but really what your brain has done was taking your nervous system into what's called the freeze state. And in the freeze state, your nervous system stops reacting. It's not a good thing because it also changes the function of your organs and your brain and is also connected to diseases and is even more difficult to address, by the way. Most women who come to work with me in the freeze state, they come to work with me kind of well into their nervous system's response. Now, obviously, my preference would be earlier they come to work with me, the more easy it'll be to, inshallah, kind of help them integrate their trauma. But also, I welcome you ladies who are in freeze because just because freeze is the most difficult response to manage, it's not impossible. And alhamdulillah, I've helped many, many, many Muslim women come out of freeze. All of these issues combined set you off on this kind of cascade of constantly reacting to absorb trauma that you might not have even realized. It takes away your sense and ability to just feel safe on a day-to-day, right? You might even be someone who now, when it's quiet, feels a sense of dis-ease, right? If you tune into how your body's responding, you might sense a tightness in your chest. Your shoulders might be tight, almost like your body's bracing for something, because it's a pattern it had to learn. So even when the triggers are not there, your body's still reacting as if it was. Now, here's the hope. Even though your brain has changed objectively, we can see this in a brain scan, as a reaction to what you grew up with, that is not who you are. If the brain can change one way, it can change the opposite way. And with the right guidance, you can do that. You can reverse engineer your nervous system. You can rewire your brain. You can release stored trauma. And as Muslims, we have the added benefit of knowing that you can do this while also building spiritual resilience. And I describe this as the NeuroSpiritual Cycle or the NeuroSpiritual dynamic, which is your nervous system will feed back to your soul and your soul feedbacks to your nervous system and it accelerates your healing. This is a work that I do with the women that I work with. Over and over and over again, I've seen the most incredible stories of healing. I've seen women who have been in constant fight or flight, who have been traumatized by experiences, heal. We were able to rewire completely traumatic memories that years of therapy was not able to do. And this isn't an exaggeration. If you don't believe me, you can go to the link in my description. You'll read testimonials. So many women have done interviews sharing their experience in the program. I invite you ladies who are ready to do the work of healing, stop waiting for your brain to change by itself because it's just not going to happen. Invest in yourself. Do the work with an expert coach who knows the body, who knows the nervous system, who knows the soul, and who can help guide you through a system of healing trauma. Link in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.